Hi, I'm Joe Saunders with Miniature Landscape Hobbies. In this episode, we're going to talk about the importance of unifying your layers when painting miniatures. We're also going to talk about what this term actually means and describe how and why you would want to do it. Let's get to it. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is proudly supported by these sponsors. Unifying colors is a term that is becoming more and more popular among model painters. You'll hear it used in different painting guides and on YouTube channels. And with the frequency it's starting to show up, it must be something new to our hobby. Right?
Wrong.
The process of actually unifying colors is about as straightforward as you can get. Unifying colors is the process of adding a common tint to the underlying layers you've just used, and this decreases the steepness of the color gradients between shades, midtones, and highlights. That's it. That's all unifying is. But this is maybe a little more easily explained than achieved. To dive in, we need to talk about miniature painting theory. So let's get to it. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is committed to bringing its viewers the best in miniature building content. I would really appreciate it if you would consider helping the channel in one of two ways. The first way is to leave a one-time donation by making a super thanks comment. The other is by considering joining our Patreon. Our Patreon community is growing all the time, and it offers tons of perks. Thanks for your time, and now back to the episode. If you're new to miniature painting, there are a few concepts you need to grasp. Also, if you're a veteran, a little review is probably a good thing too. I also know quite a few intuitive painters that just paint and don't pause to think about the actual classification of what they're doing. So let's provide some common terminology as a base. Be warned though, this is an art we're talking about. Everything is a moving target, and rules are meant to be broken. Nothing I mention here is hard fact, just generally accepted theory and terminology. There are, of course, an infinite number of ways to approach painting, and I know this. Don't go flying into the comments to tell me I'm wrong or that I'm ignorant of a whole branch of miniature painting, because we're just talking out of necessity about generalities to give everyone a common ground. What you should do, though, is head down to the comments section to provide some constructive ideas and tips for your unique approach to model painting. After priming your work, there are broadly three elements to the model painting process to consider. These are base colors, midtones, and highlights. These are often described as layers, but even this is becoming blurry due to the new acrylic paint and ink technologies that are coming out. The base color is the color you start with. It's usually blocked in, that is, painted straight on the primer with no particular eye towards application. This is usually the darkest color to provide shadows. It's also the starting point that you'll add on to by layering other paints over top. One thing to consider here, though, is that contrast, speed paints, and other zenithal paints that are currently all the rage use underpainting as base colors, which may or may not be a darker version of the midtones. Often it'll be a dry brush foundation of grays and whites. Despite this, for our purposes, base color will do as the term to cover all of this. Next up is the midtone, or midtones, because it's unlikely you'll use just one layer here. This is the process of using a lighter series of colors than your base color to imply reflectivity of the surfaces on the model. Last is the highlight, or highlights. Again, as this is likely not just one color. This is the very lightest version of the tones common to the preceding layers, usually applied only to the most prominent details or edges of the model to imply reflected light. This interplay of these three layers provides contrast, which makes a miniature analogous to the object it's supposed to replicate in the real world. All we're really doing here is compensating for the fact that large real-world things collect light differently than a miniature, so we're trying to exaggerate this to make the miniature appear more believable to the viewer. Now that we understand the inner workings of model painting, we know the context for unifying colors. Here is a Napoleonic Highlander from Victrix. He's a redcoat, obviously, but his kilt is green. I've added increasingly lighter greens to the speed paint I used as the base color, working my way up to green sky as a highlight. And as you can see, it looks just off. The borders of the midtone and the highlight are too obvious, and the green is a tad too bright. Unifying this is how we'll fix it. To do this, I pour out Absolution Green speed paint. Thin it until it's translucent, and brush it on over my work. When it's dry, I've taken the common green in the underlying layers and added it to all the color gradients. Now the difference between the base colors, midtones, and highlights are brought into balance. Plus, the darker Absolution Green has made the kilt look more striking with the dark red jacket. Now, I hear my experienced viewers say, "Joe, you just used a wash. That's nothing new." And you would be right, because a wash is a great way to unify your layers. In fact, there are three main ways to unify your work. These are filters, washes, and glazes. Let's take a look at each one, identify their strengths, and consider which is appropriate for the work you are doing. Filters or filtering is a process borrowed from scale modeling. This involves brushing on a very transparent color that complements all your previous layers, which of course unifies your work. Products for filtering are usually enamel-based, as this produces the right consistency to apply over a model's surface without accumulating in the recesses. A filter is a go-to for unifying your layers when you don't want to modify your existing work too much. It's just a subtle adjustment. Filters are not a tool for obscuring obvious brushwork like glazes, or a way to build shadow like washes. They just unify, and that's it. Most often, you'll see filters being used on models that have camouflage or freehand work on them. This is because a filter will not obscure the intricate patterns you've made, just tie them together visually. Washes are the opposite of filters. This is when you mix up a shade close to your base color, thin it with either acrylic thinner or water, and brush this on over the surface of your model after all your midtones and highlights are done. Gravity and capillary action will pull the wash into the recesses, darkening everything and creating more shadows, as well as playing down sharp highlights. A wash will therefore unify colors, but this isn't their sole purpose. Washes are also good for restoring depth to a model's details where it might have been disrupted by your other layers. Washes come in pre-made varieties, or you can mix them yourself. Some are brush-on, some have to be applied by airbrush. If in doubt, I suggest you try Army Painter shader washes. These have never let me down, and they're fairly common in stores. One thing to keep in mind though is a wash will pretty well always make the layers under it darker, so if you plan to use a wash on your work, your layers should always be a little lighter than you want the finished product to be, as the washing process will tone everything down. Glazes are a kind of halfway point between washes and filters. A glaze is made by thinning a midtone with water or a specially made thinner until you have a very transparent, slightly tinted mixture which you can then brush over your previous layers. The purpose of a glaze is obviously not just to unify your work, but it's also good at repairing any chalky paint residue left on the surface from dry brushing. This can also help conceal brush strokes visible in the paint in order to promote a smooth appearance. Glazes function by gradually depositing free-floating pigment onto the model, which over time will accumulate to obscure the chalkiness and brush strokes. Glazes rarely work with one coat and usually require several passes after the previous one has completely dried. Glazes are also specific to your midtones, and they would look like a bottle of water or thinner if you went to buy one, so there really aren't any pre-made options. If you can drop water into paint until it's almost clear, you can make a glaze, so don't worry about going shopping for one. If you do this, add a drop of dish soap or airbrush flow improver to the mix though, to help break the water's surface tension. A glaze is too thin to alter the color of your work significantly or settle into recesses like a wash. Because of this, if you like your shaded areas but want to tone down the highlights a bit, glazes are often a good option. Lastly, glazing can be substituted if you're looking for subtle unifying effects of a filter, but don't want the fuss of using an enamel product. Since glazing uses acrylics and water, it's more user-friendly than other options which rely on harsher chemicals. So there you have it, my guide to unifying your work. You no longer have to wonder at the enigmatic nature of the term. Moreover, I'm sure you'll find that once you learn to use the various techniques I've presented here, you'll find that different approaches to unifying your work will become essential elements to your enjoyment of the hobby of painting miniatures. If you'd like to learn more about how to layer paint miniatures, please watch this video, or please consider watching this other video instead. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember to keep building life in miniature.